Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of the Life Success Legacy Podcast. My name is Chris Bay, and today I'm very, very excited to have my dear longtime friend, Frank Keck, join us. Frank, how are you today?
I'm great, Chris. I'm really excited to be here because I listen to every episode at least once, most
At
of the
least
way
once.
through, some of the way through. Well, I listen to parts of it, but I always learn from you, so I'm excited to get to be a part of it.
Yeah, and what people don't know is Frank and I have known each other for years before IBC. And when we talk, which is not ever often enough, as I'm reminded from time to time, we like to go deep. And it is a deep it goes all through the woods. We cover all grounds. We go everywhere, right?
But it's always organized, and we always stay on one path.
Sure we do. Frank Keck. I'm looking out that beautiful window behind you and I'm seeing some mountains. What mountains are those?
That is the skyline of Denver, Colorado. So that would be the Rocky Mountains.
That's the Rocky Mountains, but you don't live in Denver, Colorado, do you?
No, but I live in Kansas City, and my office faces west.
So if we had really good eyesight
Yes,
and the earth was flat, we could probably see that view.
you probably could.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, I was started doing more podcasts, and I was on a podcast, and this guy had a really cool background. And I said, "Is that your studio? That's a really cool studio because I've been wanting to like build out a studio." And so he said, "No, that's a Chat GPT background." I just told it what I wanted it to look like, and so I thought, "Oh my gosh, I can do
You can
that." So
do
this
that?
is one of many. I have one with Denver, I have one with Tampa, one with Rome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just cool. Like the wall is the same, but the picture outside is different. So just kind of depending on what vibe you want to feel.
Very cool. Let's talk about the wall. It says CoreBuild. It feels like maybe you're marketing something. What is that?
So CoreBuild is my business. I wanted to call it Life Success and Building, but but that name was already taken.
Yeah.
No, it's CoreBuild, and what we do is we help people build from their core, from the
Mm.
inside out. And so my new tagline, Chris, is amplify what's remarkable. And
Mm.
we'll get into that. But I think everybody has something about them that's remarkable, and to make the most of that.
Mm. What have you found for yourself? Because I know you and some of your story, it's been a journey to find that about yourself that you want to amplify.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that journey of finding that, I'm going to use the phrase unique ability, but that essence, that special piece of you that was hardwired into you that you get to share with others.
So I actually have a term for that you can feel free to use, and
Okay.
I call it your freakness,
Ah.
not freakiness. That's a whole different conversation. But your freakness is what makes you unique and remarkable. And you're born with it inside, but a lot of us never dig in and let it out.
Mhm.
And society tells us this is how you have to behave, this is what you have to look like, this is what you have to do. Right. I think it even goes financially. It's like, no, you have to invest in a 401k, and you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to have a regular job and all these things. And so my journey has been a lot of it's been finding out what didn't work
Mm.
and saying, okay, well, I'm not going to do that anymore because that hurt. So I'm gonna go do something that doesn't hurt quite so bad, and maybe even and now it's even getting to doing things that are fun and that feel good and feel love and loving and laughter and some of those things. And it's like, wow, you can create a life that really is awesome
Yeah.
if that's what you choose, or you can continue to choose to be miserable, which is what I did for a long time because I didn't know any better. And then
Hmm.
I knew I was miserable, but I didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah. we were just talking as a team at Life Success and Legacy yesterday. We are doing another study of Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash, just to keep us sharp, right? And have conversations within ourselves. And we were talking about the power of mindset.
Yeah.
And it can relate to finances, it can relate to health. But it's that mindset that really, like, our minds are a tool, right? And we get to
Yeah.
direct how we use that, our minds, our thoughts, and what we focus on and what we don't focus on. Um, you, what are you finding in your life journey that you are getting away from focusing on, and now you are spending your time intentionally focusing on, and what are the differences that you're seeing?
Excuse me. I think one of the big things that's happening as we speak is I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm.
A lot of us have read that. And then I just read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like highlights or something like that, which
Secrets of the Wealthy or something like that.
secret, yeah, secrets of people with small brains or something like that. Which I'm like, that's me. And so it's like the highlights from several of his first few books,
Mhm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then the quadrants. And it just got me thinking. Most of my life I've been in the either the employee quadrant or the small business owner quadrant,
Mhm.
which is really you're still working for somebody else, and you're still
You
kind of
own a job, right?
you own a job
Yeah.
exactly. And so it's like I want to get more into the investor and like more of that freedom. And I think that's where IBC has really helped me. Like when you and I first met and we sat down at the kitchen table and you're like, this is something that's really cool, and you have to put your peas on the shelf and then you have to turn the peas to go the other direction or something like that. Right. But it was like it gave me a different perspective, and it told my mind, you don't have to live this way anymore. And so I think it's just giving people that option, that freedom. And so now I'm taking that one step further, saying, okay, so I've got the IBC thing, right? Getting into the DIBS thing. And it's
Mhm.
like, man, there's all of this freedom. You really can create whatever life you want. And to me, that's exciting, is to have that uh, just mentally to have the mindset that I can do that. Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people feel trapped.
Yeah. And again, it takes that mindset of saying, oh, there are other options out there. I don't have to just have money, withdrawn from my paycheck, my W-2, and thrown into a 401k or whatever. I can actually take control
Right.
of my life in general, and specifically around finances,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like one of the qualities that you and I both share, and it gives us both a lot of energy, is we've both had struggles in our lives, right? That's life. That's the
Yep.
experience of life. There's going to be struggles, and I look at those struggles as fuel, right? That's fuel for the fire.
Yes.
And we can either take that fuel and build something out of it, or we can be a victim. Exactly,
Yeah.
right? We can
Yeah.
be a victim. And I feel like what you and I share is we've had those hard struggles, but what we love to do is learn from them and then share those, use them somehow to offer to other people, that they don't have to stay there and be stuck. They can actually use this as a tool to go forward, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like when you have that first time you ever tasted chocolate cake or rhubarb pie, and you're like, man, this is delicious. I gotta go tell my buddy Chris about this. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your friends like that taste and sometimes they don't, but it is like being able to share something wonderful that you think can help somebody else find the same joy that it gave you.
Right. When you first learned about IBC, and I remember sitting in your kitchen having that conversation, we were doing the dream conversation at the
Yep.
time. Um, what I remember from that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like there was a moment where you felt like you were not aligned. There were pieces of your life that were not aligned, and you're like, Ooh, I don't have to be out of alignment. I can do this. Give our listeners just a little view of what that moment was for you, and then we'll talk about what that has led to.
Well, I think one of there were many moments at that table, but I think one of them for me was I didn't feel like I could even buy myself an extra pair of shoes.
I so remember that.
And I wanted a pair, and actually, I wanted a second pair of sneakers or tennis shoes or gym shoes or athletic shoes, whatever they're called these days.
Yeah,
And I
we just
thought,
dated ourselves, by the way.
yeah, and I remember saying, well, I already have a pair, and there's nothing wrong with them, so I can't buy myself another pair. And you're like, yes, you can. You can do that. But I was so heavy with debt and trying to make everybody else happy
Mhm.
that I didn't do anything to make myself happy. And I think that's one thing I'll always appreciate that you gave me was because you were insistent. You're like, no, go buy a pair of shoes. Go buy them tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I think I did. And but it's like you gave me permission to go do something for myself. And I think that's really like that's what IBC has been for me is, hey, I'm doing this for me.
Mhm.
Right. And because when I would do the 401k and all that stuff, I was always doing that because that's what everybody told me to do, but I didn't really understand it. I never
Mhm.
really made headway. But just with working with you and everything, it was like the ongoing boot camps, and you would sit down and quarterly and say, "Hey, let's talk about, what's going on, and let's talk about Nelson Nash, and let's."
Mhm.
But it was constantly the education, which is continuing to reaffirm and to continue to give me hope to go, "Oh, yeah, I have made progress. Oh, yeah, I do need to put some more peas back on the shelf because we're getting kind of
Mhm.
thin."
Right.
Right. And but to start doing things for yourself, like it's okay to be happy and it's
Yeah.
okay to do things for yourself. And I wasn't doing that at all. I was spending all my time and energy trying to make everybody else happy and not
Mhm.
doing a very good job. And um, but just taking that simple model that you gave us, we've had a substantial financial turnaround.
Yeah.
Substantial. And
Yeah.
it's so now I have the freedom to do more of the things that I want to do, which is
In
really
our book study yesterday, one of the pages, I'm on page 11 in Nelson's book, and he's talking about all this book is all about how to create your own banking system so that you can control 100% of your needs. Can
yeah.
you imagine the feeling? Actually, I'm going to transition to visualization and imagining.
I
Okay.
like.
Can you imagine being in control of 100% of your financial needs?
No.
But you do talk about the power of imagining, right? And
Yes.
visualizing and the importance of tying in our emotions into that process of imagining. So take our listeners just like, because I know you've done this for yourself, right? Talk to our listeners just a little bit about what your experience has been in kind of visualizing your financial future and having that your IBC system, your income stacking, your dibs, all that stuff being available for 100% of your needs.
So I think it comes in stages. So like I say I can't imagine 100% now. I can imagine 90%. But like when we started 2017 or 2018 or whenever it was, I couldn't have imagined 10%.
Mhm.
And so I think like if you're just getting started or you're just thinking about doing IBC, to think about being able to control 100% of your financial destiny, maybe like is more than a lot of people can imagine.
Mhm.
And so what I've learned to do, Chris, is just to say, okay, well, I can't imagine 100%, but what about 20%? Right? And then I'm going to work on 30% and then 50%, right? And then 80%. And so each day it grows a little bit more. And so at some point I'll be like, yeah, I can imagine 100%.
Mhm.
I can imagine that. And so I can imagine parts of that, right? Just from like just little things that would say, like I remember from Nelson's book, he talked about 34.5% of your total income goes to paying the bank and
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah.
Well, what if you just bring that in? Okay, well there now I can go up at least 34.5%,
Mhm.
right there. And then you take the dibs and some of those things and you can amplify that. And so it's like I can see controlling my financial destiny because I am. Um, but just to get to 100%, I think part of what keeps me from that is I don't know what I want life to look like 100%.
Mm. Mhm. You
So,
want to leave a percentage out there for the what ifs,
right.
the possibilities.
Yeah, like I might want to buy a cabin out in the woods.
Right. Right.
I don't know why,
It's quiet and peaceful.
but like I do want to buy a cabin in the mountains,
Hmm.
right? So I love the mountains. That's why it's behind me. And so I do think about and using the imagination. And so I've done visualization for a long time.
Yeah,
And
can you guide us like practical, like if someone's out there and they've never really gone through any kind of visualization, we know people have vision boards and things like
right.
that, but what is your process for how you visualize and imagine? Because in talking with you, there is a really important element, and that's the emotions. And I'm wondering how you tap into that piece.
So I think there's always been an emotional element to people visualizing their life, but usually it's negative, right?
Mm.
And that's why you have negative self-talk on some of those things. So
Well, a lot of people around their relationship with money is very negative.
absolutely. And so they're like, oh, I could never afford that. I can see myself not having any income. I can see myself in debt. Okay, well, you're visualizing, you have emotions tied to it. It's just all negative. What if you, like what you told me the very first time, you flip the current,
Hmm.
right? And so you talk about flipping the current financially, but you're also flipping the current emotionally. And so think about, okay, well, if you can picture yourself being in debt, then can you picture yourself not being in debt? Not
Hmm.
necessarily having a surplus, but just saying, okay, well, what would it feel like? Like if you owe $100,000 in debt, what would it feel like to only owe 90 and then 80?
Hmm.
Right. And so just think about, and so what I do is I look at it and I see, okay, I see the 100, that's where I am. Now I'm going to visualize only 90, right? Well, that's a smaller number, so it's going to actually be smaller. Maybe I've got that stack of money on the table of what I think $90,000 would look like, but it's somebody else's, so maybe it's red, not mine. And
Right.
then, but then to think about, okay, what's the emotion tied to $100,000 worth of debt? Oh man, it's overwhelming. It's just like it's suffocating. Well, what if you could get that to 90?
Hmm.
Oh, now I could breathe. That would
Start
feel
building some wins, some momentum.
exactly.
You
That
know
would,
what it reminds me of is when we've been using Profit First as a way to manage our business money and personally, but there's a section, where you set aside profit first, thus the name of it. And they tell you if you have a business that's never, or even personally, that has never made money, you've never been able to save, right? Just start with 1%,
yeah,
and then you can build it. Each quarter you just build it, and that's what I hear you saying is, look, just start with a win. Start stacking wins on top of each other.
yeah. And as you do that, because it's what I found, at least for me, is I can't go from 0 to 100 and just imagine like something completely different because I've
Mhm.
never experienced it. So I might be able to go, oh, well, I think I can get there. I can picture what it would be like to have $100,000 in cash and not to have the debt. But I can't tie myself emotionally to that. I can't wrap my arms around that emotionally. So
Mhm.
I think there's a huge difference between just being able to see a picture and being able to wrap your arms around it from an emotional perspective. And I think that's where you tie in, not getting too deep, but deep, like your soul, your inner being,
Hmm.
right? And the universe, and being able to tie in all of that energy so that you actually believe it. And so now you tie that emotion to it. And so what I've learned, Chris, and this is in the book that's coming out, Unleashing Freakness, is when you visualize something and you experience it, that sends a message to your subconscious. And now your subconscious, which doesn't know the difference between real and make believe,
Hmm.
it goes out and it will now start looking for that. And the example that I use is the red car syndrome. Are you familiar with the red car syndrome?
Would you tell me about the red car syndrome?
Be happy to. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Chris Bay knows the red car syndrome, but he'd like to tell you anyway. So the red car syndrome is if you own a car, you don't notice red cars. But if you buy a red car or somebody goes, "Ooh, look at that red car," now you're going to see like every other car is red. You're going to start
Hmm.
noticing them because it's now top of mind awareness. And so now your subconscious is, oh, red car, red car, red car. And so I think it's the same thing. Like if you have never been taught how to handle money or your finances, then that builds negatively. Now you have all the negative emotions and stuff around it. And so if
Right.
you flip the current by saying, okay, I'm going to make these small gains here, I'm going to visualize myself having positive money,
Hmm.
positive emotions with that. Now your brain starts going out and saying, oh, look, hey, you saved $5 at Walmart today, right?
Hmm.
That's a plus in the sale, right? And so now your brain's out looking for things that you can celebrate. And now I think everything goes back to mindset and it goes back to
I
hope,
agree. Yeah,
right?
I
And
agree.
that's what I love about what you all are doing and you've done for me, and I see you do it for other people, is you're giving people financial hope when they didn't have any before.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a big win recently in the last 2 weeks. I was doing a coaching session with some folks that you actually introduced us to. And when we met them, they were struggling. They had a business that failed, and they were struggling with you know, filing for bankruptcy. And so we actually used IBC. It's not your common method, but we used IBC to help them get out of that. And we were all just celebrating, that process. Frank, I want to focus specifically on how, as I mentioned earlier, you and I kind of take our own life experiences and then we like to use those to help other people. And I specifically want you to talk about the book that you're working on now, um, because you had kind of a seminal moment where someone helped you see your mindset of kind of how you were going through life, right?
Yes.
And I think most of us, if not all of us, we have been there at certain times in our life. And what I see you doing is, and you've written several books, by the way. Where can people find your stuff? CoreBuild?
You can find it on our website, corebuild.solutions, or on Amazon.
Okay. So Frank's written a number of books, and what I like is oftentimes his books are bite size, right? He's a small chunk guy, right? Or no, you're a big chunk guy, and
Big
so
chunk.
he likes small books. I'm a small chunk guy, meaning I like all the details and things like that. But this book specifically, I think, is talking more about this shift for you personally. Are you comfortable talking about that?
Absolutely.
You should
Absolutely.
be, since you wrote a book about it.
So I think things happen to you so you can learn. I think life is meant to enjoy and to expand.
Mm-hmm.
And so several years, and so my whole life I've lived with a victim mindset and
Mm-hmm.
just a people pleaser, right? Just did everything to please everybody else. And then a few years ago, the universe said, hey, we think it's time for you to change. So we're going to give you an opportunity to change. And so I started going through a divorce. And it was not much fun at the beginning. And I remember asking God every day, I'd say, well, why does this have to hurt so bad? And every time the response was the same. If it didn't hurt so bad, you wouldn't change.
Yeah.
And which didn't make me happy, but I understood it. And so a friend of mine recommended a coach. And so I hired this guy. His name's Aaron. He's a Tony Robbins coach, which means he's very confident and a sharp dresser and very much in your face and very expensive. But this is my life I'm talking about, and so
Right.
got to invest in myself. And so we started meeting, and we met every Monday. And I remember it was about 6 months in, and we started the conversation, the coaching call, and he said, "Do you know what your problem is?" And
Just nice and smooth, gentle approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, well, let's see, I have problems with my business. I have a ton of debt. My father lives in my basement and he's got a traumatic brain injury. And so he's really a challenge. And I'm going through a divorce. So yeah, I got a few things going on. And I said, well, I have a lot of problems going on, Aaron. Pick one. And he goes, no, you have one problem.
Mm,
Everything else is a derivative of that. It comes from that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what's my problem? He said, you're addicted to victimization.
mm.
And at that moment, Chris,
That's a gut punch.
it was just like being stabbed in the heart, right? Because part of it was for 20 years, I'd been teaching people that very thing. And not that they had been victims, but that, you can control your life. And so he said, you're addicted to victimization. And I said, how do you fix it? And he said, focus on what you want. And that's the part I'd been telling everybody else.
You change the wind current.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, duh. And so I said, well, is it that simple? And he said, well, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Mm,
Focus on what you want. When you're a victim and you have victim mindset, you're focusing on what you don't want. I don't want debt. Well, yeah, but you're thinking about it. So your brain is out looking for more. Oh, he's thinking about debt. Let's go find more ways to have debt. Oh, he's unhappy. Let's talk about more. Let's go find ways for him to be unhappy. And so literally that moment, I started focusing on what I wanted in life. I want to be happy. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a creator. I want to be
mhm.
confident. And so the more I've done that, and that's what the book is about, is my journey of like I had to come up with my own tools to do that. So for example, one of the tools, and this fits right in with your changing the current.
Yeah.
I was really good at having a downward spiral,
Mm,
right? And I think most people will be familiar with downward spiral. Like you feel bad about something and then you just like pile onto yourself and make it worse. So I thought, well, if there can be a downward spiral, why can't there be an upward spiral? So I created an upward spiral. Now I use it every day, right? If you
mm,
start to feel negative, you go through the upward spiral, and in 2 to 3 minutes, boom, you can feel right where you want to feel. So if you're feeling like depressed or sad or guilty or shameful or
all
victimized,
those low vibrations, right?
all the low energy vibrations, then you can
Hmm.
go through the upward spiral and get at least to neutrality or acceptance, right? But my goal is to get up into love or joy, creativity, laughter. And so this tool's helped me to be able to do that again in about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe
Mm,
5 if I'm really deep into something.
yeah.
But it's just like you can do that. And so it really fits with the whole approach of what IBC gives you, which is, changing the current to being positive so that it's working for you.
Yeah.
And so for a while, I remember talking about 4 is greater than 2 because it dawned on me things happen for you, not to you. And so I look at the divorce, as tough as that was emotionally to go through. I'm so much better off now for having gone through it because I wouldn't
Hmm.
have had all of this growth and stuff had I not gone through it. I'd still probably be living that same victim mindset, still be trying to please everybody else. And now it's like I put the peas on my own shelf first, and then
Right.
I have them to give to other people. And so it really has helped me to take control of my whole life and to create the life that I want. And I think IBC and the DIBS, like that's all been a part of it. But you have to go one step at a time, like baby steps, right? You can't
I
change the whole thing at once.
Even though you started with IBC back in 2017, 2018, I feel like you have recently had a renewed focus around building your system, around learning. I have experienced you being more engaged. You brought your kids to the boot camp in Houston and exposed them to the concept. Um, what what transpired? All of a sudden, you're like, "Hey, after these number of years now, I'm jumping in deeper."
I think a lot of it was just the realization I can create whatever life I want. I just have to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I don't want, like, my kids and I have had conversations. My son has actually said to me, Dad, I've noticed that you're not living life as a victim anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he said that to me. I didn't start that conversation.
Yeah, I
So
can hear him saying that too.
for those of you with kids, if you think your kids don't learn from what you do, um, but he mentioned that, but I think it's just the realization of, wow, I don't have to live for everybody else. I can live for myself first. Oh, I want to be happy. Oh, I can do that. And by the way, now that I'm happy, I can give that energy off to the world. And so one of my challenges was I didn't know how to love Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to really learn how to love me. And that's been a huge thing the last couple of years because it was like, okay, both of your parents are gone, right? And now your wife is gone. Who's going to love you?
Yeah.
Right. And so I'd had this fear of being alone my whole life. And it's like, okay, well, you're alone, buddy.
Now
What
what
are
are
you
you
gonna
going to
do?
do?
And so just by learning to love myself, it's like, you know what? I love me. And if you don't love me, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got that. And now you can start to, now I can give that love out because I've learned how to love myself. And so give that out to my kids and to you and to the community. And I think one of the things and you and I both share is that whatever energy we're feeling, that's what we're giving off to people around us.
Yeah.
And it's not just me and you, that's everybody, right? But we're
Yeah.
aware of, okay, I'm in a good mood. That's the energy I want to give off.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I've been going through this, I started studying the energy scale.
Yeah.
And so I call it the energy alignment spectrum. And so it goes from shame and guilt at the bottom. When you feel like you're just game, guilt, you feel guilty, you feel shameful. It's just hard to move. It's hard to get out of
Mm-hmm.
bed and do anything.
Yeah.
Or you think about when you feel loved or you feel joyous, something like that. And just your energy is completely different. And so this is a spectrum that has helped me to be more aware of, gosh, where do I want to live today in the energy spectrum? Oh, I'd like to be happy.
Right.
And one of the things Aaron taught me, and this was huge too. Um, One of the things he said is, if you want to be happy, just be happy. And I'm like, no, 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 I can't be that easy. And he said, do you know what happiness is? And I thought, oh man, this is a deep question. I don't know the right answer.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be right about everything. And he said, happiness is an emotion. Where
Mm.
do emotions come from? I said, they come from inside. He's like, right. Nobody can create an emotion for you. You're the only one who can create it. People can do things that might trigger emotions based on your
Mm-hmm.
past, but you're the only one who can create an emotion.
Yeah.
So if you want to be happy, just be happy. But most people, and I was very guilty of this, it would be, well, I'll be happy when.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut out the word when. Just, I want to be happy. So just be happy. And the more I focus on, and people are like, you can't live your whole life just to be happy. Why not? And I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they're like, well, there's more to life than being happy. And they said, well, what? Well, you got to serve other people. I said, okay, well, you like to serve other people. Why do you serve other people? Well, because it makes me feel good, AKA
Yeah.
happy.
Right.
Thank you
Right.
very much. So I think it's just being more aware of how do you want to feel? And then,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you want to be miserable, be miserable. If you want to be happy, be happy.
So this unleashing our freakness, right? Unleashing freakness is really like there's a self-awareness that has to come from that, right?
Yep.
And I'm curious to our listeners who are listening, if they're like, I like what this guy is saying, and some of it resonates with me, and I've maybe been down some of these paths as well, who would you say are people that Unleashing Freakness is um, written for?
Well, first of all, it's written for me
Good point.
because I need it, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm honest, I wrote
It's you, it's your process.
it is my process, and so just as I've been writing it and rethinking, I've rewrote it at least 7 times.
Hmm.
It comes out in August, and so
Right.
like I think I'm finally have the final edition, but I just keep rethinking things, right? And making it better. But the whole process is for people who have felt like I've always lived for everybody else.
Mm.
I haven't really lived the life I want to live. Haven't really even
Yeah.
thought about the life I want to live. I've just kind of been an autopilot. Like this is what people told me to do, so that's what I did.
And loving ourselves, starting with that,
Yeah,
like filling up our own tanks first so that we can then share that with others.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. It's like putting the oxygen mask on yourself first on the
Yeah.
airplane, right? Which everybody knows you're supposed to do that. But if you pass out on the airplane, you can't save your kids
Right.
or anybody else. And so I think we don't do that. We don't take care of ourselves first. And I don't think that you have to be like a total narcissist and only care about yourself, but I think you have to take care of yourself first. Then you can go take care of other people.
Mm.
And so, like, even the tie in to IBC is like once I got my policy, then I got a second policy. And now I just got one on each of my kids. And so now getting them to think about the whole concept of, and the word that we use here is freedom, right? It's financial
Hmm.
freedom. And to
Yeah.
start thinking about kind of that I quadrant from Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is look, it's your finances and money, Chris, is just an energy, right? And energy. So here's a big thing I learned too. Um, Energy kind of like emotions tell you how you're living your life. So if you have a negative emotion, that's simply your central nervous system, your soul telling you whatever you're thinking or doing is not in alignment with who you actually are.
Hmm.
The higher your energy goes in the spectrum, the more aligned you are with yourself. And so that's really what unleashing freakness is like, how do I align myself, with who I really am in my core?
Yeah.
And then when you do that, everything changes. And so you start to attract things to that. And it's really cool. And then like the negative stuff that I used to attract all the time, don't attract that stuff anymore.
Hmm.
But the cool positive stuff that matches that energy you're giving off, you get more and more of that, which is it really fits your whole theme of changing the wind current.
Yeah. I see so many parallels with, our mindset, what we focus on, victimization, loving ourselves first, all of that shifting the wind current, whether it's financial or emotional or mindset, is shifting it our direction so that we can take control of 100% of our needs, right?
Abs-
Or even 90% of our needs, right?
Yeah.
Leaving a little bit out there for play money.
Yeah.
Or possibilities.
But even if you go general, right? So I can see a general visualization of being financially free. Then I can start working on being like then putting percentages on it,
Hmm.
right? But I think it's like what you taught me was you're not going to change your whole financial state in an hour.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't get into that in an hour. You're not going to get out of it in an hour. And I think for the mindset, it's the same thing. And so, like, I've been on this journey now for 3 years, going through this growth spurt, and
Hmm.
I'm at a really great place. But also, like, I still have challenging moments, but I now have the tools to be able to go back and go, okay, here's how I'm going to work through this. But like, you never arrive. Life is a constant journey of continuous opportunity to learn and to expand.
Yeah. We talk about that even with our little life success legacy businesses. Like, we've never arrived. And if you're not okay with constant growth and development and challenges and having to adjust and all those things, being a part of Life Success and Legacy on our team is probably not a good fit for you because you have to be nimble, right? You have to be nimble. Frank Keck, I always enjoy our conversations. This one just happens to be recorded and other people get to listen to it.
For all the listeners, the voyeurs out there that sat in on our conversation.
That's right. That's right. Well, I meant to say, I don't think I said it, but at the beginning, I meant to say, hey, buckle up because we have no idea where this conversation may lead. We typically, our podcasts, as you know, are pretty dialed in on IBC conversations or people story specific. But with our conversation, I knew and wanted to expand it. I wanted to tap into some other things because people oftentimes have an emotional connection with money. And as you mentioned, it's oftentimes negative.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring you on because of your story, not just financially, but in general, and have you share a little bit about that. And then if people want to learn more, you're going to have this book coming out in August, right? We're going to hold you to that. And they'll be able to find that Unleashing Freakness either on Amazon or at CoreBuild .solutions. And then hopefully Michael Crawford can get that noted down below in the comments so people can access that.
Michael Crawford's the best. I loved him in Phantom of the Opera.
You're so weird.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here with you, Chris. And I think just it's kind of a final wrap up. Money is a mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing that you've helped me with is change your mindset, you change your life. And so the book I'm writing, a lot of it came from the discussions that you and I have had and things that I've learned from you. So
yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I think mindset is so much of it, right? Whether it's emotional, relational, financial, physical, our health, it starts with our mindset. So thanks for those reminders, Frank.
Thanks, Chris.
Good stuff. To our listeners, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Frank Keck. Please check him out at CoreBuild.solutions. Did I get it right?
Did.
I got it right. And we will all be keeping our eyes out for Unleashing Freakness coming out in August. Looking forward to reading the full book on that. Check us out at lifesuccesslegacy.com. We have some upcoming boot camps, both virtual as well as live. We will be hosting in Lawrence, Kansas, a live boot camp the first Saturday of September. That's September 6th. And we would love for people to come in. We've got some hotel rooms booked for our clients and friends who are going to be traveling in to join us. That Friday evening beforehand, we're going to do a big cookout out at Mike Everett's Casa de Everett. And we just look forward to being with the community and connecting and furthering our conversations and our relationships. So again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Life Success Legacy podcast.